Hello class, today we're going to learn about weather fronts. We're going to answer these questions. Where does weather take place? What are they? How are they formed? And what causes the weather to be severe?
The atmosphere is divided into four main layers. From land to space, we have the troposphere, the stratosphere, the mesosphere, and the thermosphere. The majority of the weather that we experience happens in the troposphere. In the troposphere, we have the most amounts of water vapor in our air, or we can call that humidity, which is the amount of moisture in the air. It's also where the atmosphere is the most unstable.
Weather fronts are boundaries that separate two air masses of different air pressure. Air exerts pressure on the atmosphere according to the temperature of the air mass. If the air mass is cold, it will be a high pressure system as seen here.
Here we see a weather map. Weather maps show much useful information about descriptive air measurements, observations, and boundaries between air masses, also known as fronts. Weather maps are important for understanding and predicting the weather. As we can see here, a cold air mass is illustrated with a blue line with blue triangles. Also, we have a blue H associated because cold air masses or cold fronts are what we call high pressure systems. Warm fronts are illustrated with a red line with red semicircles, and also we see the L that is red associated with it because it is a low pressure system.
So if the front is warm, it will be a low pressure system. We often hear the phrase warm air rises. That statement is true because as altitude increases, pressure decreases.
Thunderstorms often occur as a weather front begins to pass. For example, when a cold front approaches a warm air mass, it creates an unstable situation in the troposphere. Thunderstorms are storms that have lightning, thunder, rain, and sometimes hail. A thunderstorm needs three basic ingredients: moisture, which we call humidity, unstable air, and lift. Lift is caused by wind or breezes from mountains, the ocean, or even fronts.
In a warm front, a warm air mass pushes a cold air mass out of an area at an upward slant. Warm fronts produce cirrus and stratus clouds. These clouds, cirrus clouds, are formed because they're high in the sky. The cloud over here is a stratus cloud and is formed as they are called low-lying clouds that generally form light or heavy rain.
Cold fronts are caused when a cold air mass approaches a warm air mass. The cold air pushes the warm air up and out of an area. Because the cold air is more dense or heavier than the warm air. Cold fronts also produce cumulus clouds, which are tall, puffy white clouds we see in the sky. Cumulus clouds can also form thunderstorms or very heavy rain.
The greater the difference in the temperature of the air masses determines the severity of the weather produced. If we have an air mass that is 91 degrees approaching an air mass that is 78 degrees, the storm produced will be very severe. We would call this a warm front because it is a warmer air mass approaching a cooler air mass. If we have an air mass that is 72 degrees approaching an air mass that is 77 degrees, we would call this a cold front even though the air approaching is not cold. It is cooler than the other air mass. The weather produced here would not be as severe as the other front because the temperature difference is not as great.